Okay, in this video, we're going to take you through a little tutorial on how to log your practice totals for your students onto the school's practice total database, or just a spreadsheet that we've got we use to track progress and just monitor what's going on in the life of our students. So once you're enrolled into the school as a teacher, we'll add you to this document here called practice totals. And this is basically where we'll put all of your students on, all your current students that you start off with, and you'll log your practice totals onto this sheet here. Now, it's really, really important this gets logged properly for a couple of different reasons. The first one is this is one of the documents that we will use in any reviews that you have. So any performance reviews that you might be having, we will use this document here to actually help facilitate the discussion, because what we'll be talking on in part is your students' progress. So it's really important that this gets filled in properly from that perspective. The other perspective is, let's say, for example, during one of your reviews or whatever, you wanted to talk about moving up our scale in terms of how much we pay and responsibility and things like that. One of the things that we want to check is, obviously, are your students progressing? Have you got good retention? So again, we want to be able to look at this from a glance. Another reason why we want to make sure this is done properly is if there are any issues with the student, we want to make sure that we can look here and see, we can actually see there's a bit of an issue with the student when it comes to practice. It is a possible red flag that they're going to be dropping out soon. So we need to make sure that we're on that and we're tackling it properly. So down this column here, I've just put some like random names here. We've got Stephen, Harry and David as our 3 students. Hopefully when you enroll, you've got a lot more than 3. But for this example, I've just thrown up a few names on the database just here. And then we've got some dates at the top. And say, for example, if you're teaching once a week, you might just put your the dates that you teach in. You might do it week by week. You might do the whole month in advance, however you want to do it. It will be added as an editor to this. It's really important as well that you only edit your sheet. Don't edit anybody else's. So let's say, for example, at the start of the month, they start off with, at the first of the month, they've got 20 minutes. Everybody has 20 minutes practice, okay? That's for the week. Okay, but they're coming to see you on day 1 of the month. Okay, then what we want to make sure that we've got is we want to make sure that we're getting the right amount of practice. So they've got 20, but then you also want to make sure they're doing, if it's, say, for example, a junior school age child, they want to be doing their daily practice of 20 minutes a day. So you want to be adding the extra 140. So really what we should be seeing is 160 going into this box here. Then if we added another 140, we should see bang on 300 here, and so on. And that trend should actually be going up and up and up and up and up. What we don't want to see is 20, 100 and things like that, because say, for example, if I look here, this kid called Harry that we've created, he did 20 minutes practice on the first day of the month, probably because he knew that he was going to come and have a guitar lesson. And then he didn't do any between his last guitar lesson and the one the following week. And then maybe you had a conversation and he's done a little bit more, but he's still only got a total of 100. Okay. So what we're not saying is don't put in the weekly amount. So if they say I've done 100 for the week, that isn't what we want. That's not that's not what we want. We don't want the week by week. We want to make sure that we're getting the monthly total. So, if it means that a couple of these are 20s and 20s, because it hasn't changed, and so be it. What you don't want to do is, if they've not practiced, you don't write down 0, because that isn't the way that we log our practice. We want to make sure I can look at this, or your senior teacher above you can look at this and go, okay, so so-and-so teaches a kid called Stephen, and on the first day of the month, he did 20 minutes of practice after school before guitar lesson. Then he did 160. He had 160 by the time his next lesson rolled around. Then he had 300, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. What we don't want is like 20, 20, then a 0, then 100 for the week or whatever. That's not an accurate way to actually log the practice. Also as well, you want to make sure that you can see what it is that you're looking at your students' progress. So if you can see, okay, well, I've got a 20-minute here. So this kid called David, he has 20 minutes for the first month, and then he has another 20 minutes, and then he only does 10 minutes between his second lesson of the month and the third lesson, so he ends up with 30-minute. You can see there, this is an issue. Everyone else is practicing really, really, really hard and is, flying ahead, or, they've got like 350 and they're, 300, 350 by the middle of the month, and they're really, really loving life. And this person here is creating a bit of a lag. Then you want to make sure that you can tackle that by making sure that you're having the conversations outlined in the rest of your practice training. The other thing as well is we monitor your average student practice score, okay, for the month. So if you can look here, if you've got fantastic practice numbers from, the majority of your student, and then there's one that is just coming in with very low score, that one student here, in this case, it's this kid called David, he is absolutely killing your average student practice number. Okay, and we want to make sure that you can tackle that. What you don't want to do is you don't want to lose these students, because again, if you lose a student, that goes against your retention score. So these are all these different all these KPIs and indicators that we look at when it comes to assessing just where you're at with your teaching and your progress. So make sure that you're staying on top of this, and please, please, please make sure that you're filling this in on the practice totals sheet as accurately as possible. If you have any questions, please let myself or one of the other senior teachers know, but if not, I will see you in your next training video.